Pleased to be joined with Cannon, Abby, and Brendan from Homecoming. You probably heard them on CHVN. They have a song called The Cost. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But Homecoming is a worship collective. You guys are based out of BC, out in Western Canada. So I'd love if I could hear like how you guys all connected in the first place. Kind of where did Homecoming come from?
Yeah, we met at church. We kind of all at different times have been at Christian Life Assembly in Langley, in youth groups, young adults, Sunday morning, and we just met and connected there through college, and we've been friends since.
There you go. And how did you guys like all get started in music in the first place? Was this kind of always like something you loved doing as a kid? Brendan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I only started singing and leading worship at my church maybe like 3, 4 years ago. And then I've been friends with Canyon before then as well. And then it was really Canyon. We played at this youth conference in BC every year. I guess you guys did, and a few other friends. And then one year, it was last year, you were like, you know what? Let's just start a band. We're friends. We play at the same conference every year. Why don't we just start something? We all have a passion for writing. And that's kind of how it happened. It kind of grew out of that, and then it kind of has grown into something that, like, I don't know, I personally could not have imagined, but it was fun. Yeah.
And Abby, how did you get connected to Homecoming?
Yeah, I also went to Christian Life Assembly, but had kind of been doing music and like I did piano lessons and vocal lessons like ever since I was like 7 years old. So it was just kind of something that was I already loved and already a part of my life. Love leading worship just in the local church, and then obviously met these guys at Christian Life Assembly, and they kind of just wrote me in, added me to a group chat one day, and the rest is history. So
Christian Life Assembly is getting a big shout out.
Sheila's getting big shout outs.
Yeah.
Sounds like you really just got thrown in there then.
I really did. I really just got added. Literally, it was like, you're in this band now. And I was like, cool. Happy to be here.
And I'd love to find out, like, maybe what's the like mission behind Homecoming? Like, kind of what's your guys' goal as a group? Canyon, maybe you can touch on that.
Yeah, I think the goal really is to reach the younger generation with music that feels like it ties it into church, into faith, but is also applicable to stuff that they listen to on a normal basis. Trying to bridge that gap between what you'd hear on Sunday morning and what's on, the iPhone of a 13-year-old kid at school. And lyrically, something that I can connect to with what's going on with the youth identity and depression, anxiety, all of those things. Some of the topics we can't really sing about all the time on Sunday mornings, but having an outlet for us to write about that so students could connect with that.
Yeah, and maybe I'd love if you could touch on that a little bit more. Like, how does even like your own personal experience or just like having conversations with you kind of inspire like what you're writing about, what you're singing about when you're kind of seeing what they're kind of dealing with?
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll need to think about that for a second. I mean, I was, yeah, Abby, go for it.
No, I have a thought. Like, I have led worship in youth spaces pretty much my entire life. Like, that's where I started. I had a youth pastor who was like, hey, you have to do this. And I like used to be super shy and I was so terrified. And then it was like in those spaces where you're battling so much insecurity and so much like you're really just like figuring out your life and you're growing up and it's like so confusing and complicated. But it was in those spaces where like I felt like I chose to have this personal relationship with Christ. And then it was through music and through being on worship teams with like my friends that I really like loved music and loved Jesus. And then I just think that I feel super passionate about like writing music that they can understand. I just feel like some songs, like obviously we need like good theological, like doxology worship songs for Sunday morning, but sometimes those concepts, if you're like new to faith or you just gave your life to Christ, can be like super confusing. And so even as I've like been in those spaces my whole life and been honored and privileged to lead youth in worship, I've just been really careful about the songs that I pick to use in those spaces. Like they can understand them easily. They point to Christ ultimately, but and not just like that they're simple, but that they're like big truths and important truths just put into like sentences and lyrics that kids can grasp and understand. And I just like have always valued like picking your sets, your worship sets with such intention, especially for those spaces, because they're just like dealing with such different things then. And it is just a different space than you can do what you can do on a Sunday morning. And so, yeah, I just think like it's cool now that we get to write stuff for those spaces when it's been something I feel like I've been passionate about for a while. It's just being really intentional about what you're bringing into those spaces for those kids. And so now we're, you know, taking our own brain and our own creativity and our own experience and then trying to write something from that. So, yeah.
And is there maybe other like groups or singers like specifically that you're like, okay, like they're really like speaking to this up and coming generation that you can kind of go back to time and time again?
Not in Canada. I think that was kind of like the gap that also we wanted to fill, because there are no like there are obviously plenty of youth groups in Canada, but artists that are specifically putting out music, we felt like one of the first conversations that Canyon and I had was like, yeah, there is like a gap in Canada. There's no youth focused worship. You know, you got the Hillsong Young and Freeze and the Elevation Rhythms, and like there's America and the UK and Australia, they've got it covered, but we know there's just in general a lack of worship in Canada. And there's lots of groups and people that are doing that thing, but there's a significant, as in I feel like there was actually literally nobody doing the thing for students and youth groups in Canada. Yeah, and I think, I mean, part of what we've been seeing like all over the news and stuff, and what we personally experienced is like there's been like a revival of there is currently taking place like what we believe is like a revival of like the younger generation coming to Christ and church attendance. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, there's high school kids that are, I mean, I was at a sermon this Sunday and it's like high school kids are coming to church with no background, no anything, have no idea, they're just coming on Sunday. And it's like, what are we singing that's going to reach them, you know? And I think that's important. Absolutely.
Yeah, I also think that it's obviously we can use other people's songs. Like I think obviously like that's good, and obviously there's like biblical truth and that like and things in there that are good, and I'm never gonna stop like in those environments using songs from other worship bands or whatever. But I do think that there's something so cool about writing something for your church and your space that you're in, because you are like in those spaces and you know what God is doing, and so then you can kind of write out of that. And I think it's just a really cool opportunity. And like they were saying, like we often lead worship at the same youth conference every single year, and so then we're like seeing what's happening and what God is doing, and then writing from that place I think is just really important, because I mean every space, every church, every conference is a little bit different, and God can do like really unique things in all those spaces. So obviously some of those like bigger Hillsong, we love them, whatever, Bethel, we use those songs and they're super relevant and important and say really good things. But then I think there's just something special about kind of adding your own creativity to that space. So yeah.
For sure. So you have your song called The Cost, and Abby, I'd love if you can kind of share like the heart behind that, the main message that you hope listeners take away after that they hear that song.
Yeah, this song, yeah, I mean, it's kind of blown us away, just the reaction that we've been receiving from it. But it really just is about the cross and just the sacrifice of Jesus laying down his life for all of us. I think the most important takeaway from this kind of song is like, how often are we coming face to face with that sacrifice? How often are we remembering it, and how is it impacting our day-to-day life? Like, are we, you know, thinking about this constantly, and then our lives are reflecting such gratitude and such, you know, like a desire for other people to hear about this. And so really like the song, it's, you know, the chorus really talks about like, I'm down on my knees, like I'm here face to face with the reality that Jesus had to die so that we could have life. And then the bridge is just like this response, like we're joining in with heaven's song, we're joining in worship, because all we can do, you know, with this reality is have such immense gratitude for that sacrifice. And so yeah, it is a cool like come to face with Jesus and his sacrifice, and then respond with holy, holy, holy are you, God. Like that's just all we can do, is just join in with that song. And so yeah.
There you go. And sometimes it's really just those reminders that you need to hear again, right? And just kind of pointing to truth and just having those reminders. And so kind of wrap this up, and I'd love to hear from each one of you guys. out of the time that you guys have been together, is there like one specific moment, highlight that really stands out to you that, you're just like, it makes you excited for what you're continuing to do and what God's doing through your ministry? Maybe Kenyon, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think I think the most exciting thing for me about just homecoming in general is maybe what's the word, the just that other people are excited about it. Like it feels like maybe we were crazy, or maybe we were like, you guys are dumb for thinking that you need to write songs for kids, and like, or like it wasn't a real thing. And seeing the reaction of students, and like I said, we do this conference every year, and we get so much great feedback, and like, the worship's changed my life, and like I met God on that Saturday night, and like this was the highlight of my year, and I can't wait to come back next year, and just like seeing how worship impacts people, and then also seeing how like something that we write, that we sit and pray about and go like, okay, God, give me something that is going to help these students point to you or relate to you, or something that they can carry with them that's going to remember that moment when they said yes for the first time. But we're also just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall at the same time, because you write it and you do it, and then you don't know if it's gonna work, right?
Yeah.
And seeing it work, and over the last year or two, seeing it come to life and actually make an impact, has been so exciting for me and for all of us. And it just lights the fire to like keep going and do more and write more and be more involved in their lives and be more involved in this thing. And so that feels great for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, besides the impact we made, I think for me it's been one crazy creative outlet for me. I do all of like the social media and video stuff like that, and I feel like I finally have something that is like just really cool I can be creative with it. Like it's our own thing. We can, whatever branding, whatever videos we want to do. It's been such a cool creative outlet, and this is something that's really given me personally a lot of life and a lot of joy, that I've now been able to like more confidently go into like spaces of worship, knowing that like I think that as creatives, it's such an important thing to have an outlet where we can be creative and like do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's so life-giving, and so that's what it's been for me.
Yeah.
For me, sorry, my husband just coming home right now. For me, it's just been really cool. I've always wanted to write. Like, I just think that that's always been a dream of mine. And so having people like Canyon force me to do it has been just really exciting and stretching, I think, for me. Like, really just, yeah, challenging me in so many ways. And then also another moment that sticks out is like the first time we sang The Cost live at that conference. When I just think it's so cool when I was witnessing teenagers sing that bridge specifically, just like holy, holy, holy are you God, worthy are you God. Like just like it was just so cool to have something that we wrote and we made that so obviously glorified God and that people were so engaged in. I think that was just a really exciting moment for me. And I'm just really excited to keep writing and to keep putting things out there and hoping that God uses them for his glory. So, yeah.
Well said.
And looking ahead for homecoming, kind of what's next? What's on the horizon? What can people looking their teenagers get excited about?
We got a Christmas song coming out that I think people are gonna be very excited about. Comes out November 7th. And we've got new singles, some fast songs, and stuff coming out through the new year. We got lots of stuff in the back catalog. I think 2026 is gonna be an exciting year with lots of applicable songs, lots of fun, fast songs, just lots of new music. I mean, that's really what we've got going on.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody wants to kind of follow along with your guys' music journey, where's the best place for them to kind of stay up to date, new releases, everything like that?
You can follow us on Instagram at
the best one.
homecoming.ca.
Beautiful. Nice and easy. Well, Canyon, Brendan, Abby, thank you so much for taking time to join me. And we're excited to see, how God's going to continue to grow your ministry and impact teenagers and other people's lives around the world.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
so
you.
much
Thanks for having us.